This is the People Class Podcast, the official podcast of the People Class. Show your support at patreon.com/thepeopleclass. Send us a shout out at the People Class on Twitter, and send us your feedback at thepeopleclass@gmail.com. Class is in session. Welcome to another class session of the People Class Podcast. This is your dean in the class of life, or the school of life. This is the Quad, our main show in which I will feature guests and bring a lot more views and opinions other than mine here to the table. So I do hope you enjoy the conversation that happens today. It won't be as structured as the weekly class sessions, but nevertheless, we will cover a variety of topics. So I would like to introduce to you today Mr. Brian Newton. He is our resident political consultant. He's been paying attention to the scene for quite some time and has been active in political campaigns. So Brian, give us a little bit of your background.
As far as being active in political campaigns, just means I've, canvassed and voted, if that's what you mean. But
it's more than what most people do.
I know, but still, that's what everyone should be capable of doing at some point in their lives. I mean, working in a polling place isn't difficult. It's not like I have any internal information based on campaigns. Also, just being in the scene for a while is just because I'm old. I've been. This is 20 years since I've been able to vote this year. So I've seen a lot of ups and downs. But yeah, like my background's primarily just I work in entertainment, animation specifically. I guess we should tell people that we're cousins.
Full disclosure, we are blood.
Yeah, we're related.
Yeah, shouldn't have any bearing on what we're trying to do here.
If you have a hard time keeping track of our voices, that might be part of it.
Yeah, funny enough, in our family, we're sort of the best friend, brother cousins. We should have been, we're peas in a pod, I'll put it that way. And come to find out, I didn't know this until my mom passed, that your mom was like her sister cousin. So that's pretty interesting.
I didn't know that going back a ways, because I remember our parents talking about it at some. It was just parents talk about stuff, and you're just like, yeah, that's a time before me, so it's not really irrelevant. But yeah, it's funny you should mention that. That's how we are.
I guess it's genetic. I don't know. I've been sort of absent as of late in the Twitter sphere, but I have been keeping up with things. Once again, I am considered an essential worker, so I still have to go and clock in for my employer every day and risk my life every day so that people can buy grills, Gotta have grills.
Oh, hello.
But so I'm going to try to do my best to stay consistent and release content here. But do bear with me as I do work full time as well. Let's go ahead and get started here. So a little devastating news. I'm not going to say that I am surprised. And once again, I'm just going to continue to reiterate this is an encore performance of 2016. Sanders stepping down and endorsing Biden. So, what are your thoughts on this? Okay, I think Brian may have gotten disconnected here. Let's go ahead and let me try to get him back on. Hello, Brian.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I don't know
Okay.
what happened. Just,
Oh, okay.
I all of a sudden it went silent.
Internet, you're over there with who's it now? Spectrum
Yes.
is what they call it.
Yeah, what's funny was I checked to see if it was the internet, and like I didn't say I got disconnected. So
Yeah, it didn't show me either. I actually had to manually go and disconnect and then join the session again.
okay,
Could have been me.
it might have been you because like I didn't get disconnected for once. I didn't get disconnected.
So yeah, I'm not sure how much of that you did catch, but I was just saying that kind of beating the dead horse here myself. We have an encore performance here of 2016 with Sanders dropping out and endorsing Biden, much like he did with HRC. And I mean, he campaigned for her. I can't say that I'm surprised. However, I did hope that Sanders would at least, go into the end.
I actually was reminded today. He said he would go to the convention, but I think mainly because of the pandemic and just how hard it is right now to get out or sway to vote one way or another, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion. The thing I was reminded of today is the fact that all the Democratic primary candidates basically signed a paper like a loyalty pledge saying that they would like support the eventual nominee. So it's like
Oh, what?
you knew. I mean, just that you knew
Unity?
Sanders was going to have to do this. Yeah, yeah, you knew Sanders was going to have to do this. I'm not surprised that he endorsed Biden. You know who hasn't endorsed anyone is Elizabeth Warren, which that's surprising.
Yeah, she hasn't. I feel like, I don't know, maybe she's a little burnt out with this. I mean, between the 2016 campaign and now.
She's definitely no fan of Biden, and like her not endorsing Sanders or even, I mean, endorsing Biden earlier would definitely hurt Sanders a little more, but like it's interesting that she's just not endorsed anyone, but like Sanders gets all the like, why haven't you endorsed anyone? You're gonna hurt our chances to beat Trump. Well, no one talks about Elizabeth Warren hurting our chances to beat Trump.
True. I mean, Warren is she's a hard one to crack. Like, I pegged her as, and I gotta say, like, she has a lot of progressive talking points, and I don't know if that was because of her campaign staff, whoever her advisor was, kind of formulating that plan. But I mean, from the get go, she came out and I think at one point, right, she did finally commit to not taking corporate PAC money, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think when she started her campaign, she took a nudge, but then like the back channel means kind of like took back some of that. Like one of the big quote unquote scandals, because even though it's not really that politicians take corporate money, uh, one of the things she did was the corporate money she took in the electoral campaign. A lot of that got funneled into her presidential campaign, so people called her out on that.
Yeah,
And
I
then
mean, it's fair. It's a legal move.
yeah, it's a legal move, but it's just like it's the ethic. I can't say it. It's the
Ethics.
ethical move of
Yeah.
what people called her out on because like it's still corporate money. And then of course she did start eventually taking pacts towards the end of her campaign.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, just kind of watching her throughout or kind of the early run of her campaign. I I don't think she really ever tried to separate herself from that sort of establishment Democrat. To me, she always felt more like she was moderate.
Well, the people running her campaign were definitely within that establishment vein.
I felt like she never really kind of renounced. Is that the word I'm looking for here? Kind of renounced.
Oh, you're right. She never renounced quote unquote the Democratic establishment. She was always like the reason why she sounds progressive is she was always challenging corporate, but specifically Wall Street power, and that's a good thing. We want people to do that.
That is, but I mean, honestly, she seems kind of pigeonholed like in that sector. We saw her fall back on like the whole Medicare for all support, and even the
And yeah, her plan was bullshit. Not as bullshit as like the others or even Kamala Harris's, but it was a bullshit plan.
yeah. So she's I don't know like I said, I think the progressive policies that she did come out of the gate supporting. Once again, I just think that those are just talking points.
Here's another. Yeah, it
Y-
definitely appears that way because when it came to like, would you actually support someone who is has a shot and is pushing for your agenda in its entirety, and she
mhm.
didn't do it. But the other thing you have to consider about Elizabeth Warren on domestic issues, she's pretty good, but on foreign policy issues, she's just as like corporatist and right wing or right wing as all the other Democratic establishment
A
candidates.
globalist.
Globalist. Well, I would say more accurately, it's neoliberal. It's like
Yeah.
the neoliberal for the people who don't really know is a way of a liberal agenda that believes like the American project should be spread across the world, if by
Ooh.
gun if necessary.
Hold on. You're actually giving me an opportunity to put into practice some of the work I'm doing for our subscribers here. Give me just 1 minute. As I stated, I'm putting together terms and definition database, and
This is something you need to know because like
mhm.
people who aren't 100% caught up on these terms will often get confused or will get inadvertently upset because like they'll hear neoliberal and they'll just think liberal and think like, well, I'm a liberal and I don't want any of that stuff. I was like, that might be true. You might be like, what was the thing like in Christianity? Like, yes, just because you're not a fundamentalist Christian, but if you believe in the book, you sort of give credence to fundamentalist Christian. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, but it's inadvertently true because like the fundamentalists can point to their book and say like this is what we believe and this is what the Bible says, and then you have to point to your book and say the Bible says, but I have to pick and choose. Well, if you're a liberal, you're probably picking and choosing. If you're a neoliberal, you're just going all in on the idea that like uh, a global market, it's okay to have like blood diamonds in Africa, and that the U.S. can support like warlords or governments that are exploiting that. Trade policies. That's why everyone gets mad at like Bill Clinton
Mhm.
because he outsourced a lot of jobs because of NAFTA. That's a neoliberal policy. You know
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
That fucking up.
that set a terrible trend.
And it's not like the Republicans are better at that. They outsource just as much, if not more, than the Democrats. But because the Democratic Party during their stints and like Obama tried to pass NAFTA or wait, TPP, sorry.
Mhm.
Uh, but like the Democrats often implement these giant trade deals that make and corporations and I guess CEOs very happy. It's just like, hey, we're as good for business as the Republicans are. That's basically what they're saying. And good for business doesn't mean good for you, not good for the workers. It's
Yeah,
specifically good for the shareholders in the stock market
yeah, those delicious profits.
who are already rich and powerful.
But I mean, you can never have enough, right?
Apparently not. I mean, I was just man, what was I just watching or playing? I was just watching some series or some game, and they were like, "What do people? What do men with power always want? They want more power." It's a quote, but like, oh, what was I just watching that said that? I don't know. I'm
Wow.
watching a lot of stuff from there.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know. So you've been playing a lot of Doom lately.
And I got Final Fantasy remake.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, I started that finally. Got past the demo boss, so the first boss in the
Okay.
reactor. But I stopped
Oh,
there. Um,
yeah.
just kind of funneling a lot of my time into this project here.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Somebody needs to do something, and like actually, yeah. And we won't get too far into this right now, but I'm going back, and I want to present a history of the American labor union struggle in various sessions.
Yeah, there's a lot there. I mean, it's how we got
Oh,
the weekend. It's
jeez.
that's how we got rid of child labor. Uh,
And funny enough, those are really the only two notable ones that we can think of, and that took
those are gigantic though.
no. They are, but man, oh man, like
You
there's
know
so
about Eugene Debs, right?
hmm
Yeah,
yeah.
political figure, anti-war as well. So like the labor unit, the labor efforts and anti-war efforts were often ran simpatico, which is why it's funny that the second like the anti-war movement dies in America, we also start losing labor power. So coincidence? Maybe, maybe not.
Oh no, that's all tied up.
Martin Luther King also, yeah, Martin Luther King also very notably anti-war and also very much pro labor rights.
Oh yeah. That's yeah. Little does he know when he was killed, he was actually going to help a labor union out.
Specifically, the sanitation workers.
Yeah, sanitation worker. I was gonna say the trash. Yeah, that's crazy. But just going back and looking through the struggle is crazy. It's I won't say like Ouroboros, but it's this circular struggle. Like we keep every few or a couple of hundred of years, we seem to keep reaching this point. It seems like, and it plays out the same way. A combination of workers, they're fed up about conditions or pay. Uh, private owner tries to get the courts to say that what they're doing is illegal by unionizing. And you look at these um, the reasons for also getting lost on the term here. The these reasons that couldn't hold any water were used to basically convict and persecute any of those, protesters or strikers. Um, things as something as ambiguous, I will say, as uh, just conspiring against a private employer, right?
In the
Like
government,
no. Just being a worker. If you and your workers back in the day wanted to, you needed more wages, and you striked for more wages, or word got out that you were going to strike for more wages, the employer could then get the courts involved, and depending on the judge. And there's been a lot on the right side of history, but there's also been a lot of judges on the wrong side of history who will deem that activity illegal. And there's so many just paper thin reasons for it. The charges, like I said, one for instance the fisherman strike in, like, I think it was like 1676 or something like that. They were literally just arrested for striking.
striking illegal, like straight up.
Yeah, just striking. Uh, and I was looking at the Commonwealth versus Hunt case, which was very pivotal here in America. Because that case basically was sort of this struggle between giving, and mind you, we see how private industry does act against working class when we do, try to ask for what we need. But at that point in time, basically the struggle there was to make the collection of people, the unionization, the combination of people as an act entirely just illegal. And then so that didn't hold up. They couldn't really they a lot of jurisdictions had a hard time with basically enforcing that, right? So they started coming up with like these weird reasons, conspiring,
Sure, like inciting.
for higher wages. Like really? Can,
Oh,
cons-
boy, what a crime.
yeah, no, and that one, that specific one, which it stems from, I guess this the English Commonwealth law. For for like hundreds of years, just conspiring for increased wages, excuse me, was a criminal offense.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised. I'm not surprised by any of this, but it makes sense the fact that labor has always had to like chip away at the institutional powers that corporations and like business always always like influenced over our world, over our country.
Mm-hmm.
Because even the fact like something which might even still be on the books today, like the inciting a riot clause. I'm sure that often gets thrown into like people who participate in labor and strike organizing.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain jobs. I'm blanking off the top of my head what they could be, but I've heard of this that they cannot strike, mainly to like some sort of like important public service are good.
Interesting.
I've heard of such professions which is like they literally just say you're not allowed to strike, and it's interesting. One thing I
Essential
always
workers.
found fascinating, especially labor laws, even the formation as America, but is that also tied to slavery and colonial slavery in this country. The fact that like that's also about labor as well. It
Oh
often
yeah.
gets disconnected because of the immoral, inhuman, and the racist
No,
aspects of slavery.
obviously that's where the
And
journey has to start, right?
cruel thing about like fucking plantation owners. That was their business was selling crops, and one of the ways they did it was the cheapest labor possible.
Free.
It's slavery.
Yeah, no. That historical journey is
It,
definitely going
again,
to
I
start
get
there.
disconnected.
I can hear you. All right, let me try again here. All right, hello.
Disconnected again.
I guess so. So,
What point did it cut out?
oh man.
What was the last thing you heard me say? Because I was talking the whole time.
I don't recall. I don't recall the marker. I'd have to go back and listen to it. I'm sorry. I think I was actually gonna make a point, but I lost that now. I'm sorry. Oh, but
Okay.
slavery. But going back to slavery, yeah. That being just, I mean, the cornerstone of the U.S. economy, the very foundation. Oh yeah. So you're saying that it doesn't cost anything.
That's the cheapest. It's the cheapest labor possible.
Hmm.
I mean, you still have there's some cost to maintaining human beings to keep them alive,
Yeah, you give them the
but
scraps,
like,
the chitlins and the pig ears.
but in a way, they probably just made them fairly self-sufficient. It's like, all right, feed yourselves, and the land is on you. I'm probably not providing any material conditions for you to do that. It's just your general need to live. And then if you try to run away, and then I'll sick hounds and fucking people on you.
Oh yeah, but
And the slave patrols, which is the start of our police force.
hmm That's crazy. That's craziness. And I mean, and throughout history, you see it. The police force has always been coupled with private industry, and they're always used to basically retaliate against the working class who are just demanding better conditions, better income, maybe a better ventilated warehouse to work in or factory floor.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm sure you've researched and gone over the story about the Pinkerton.
No, I haven't gotten there.
Oh yeah, yeah. So you're going in order.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
I don't want to miss anything. And I want to be pretty focused. So,
there are all of you.
well, my aim is to get people who are kind of new to this whole thing. I want to educate them. They need to know kind of the history and the reasons why we're even having these conversations today. You know,
Before even having the conversation, some people still aren't talking about it.
yeah, yeah. No, I know, and now I will say, I don't think it's enough people, but I am seeing a lot more on our independent news sources. People talking about worker co-ops and farming unions and things now.
What I'm really interested in is just like specifically right now during this COVID pandemic is that we got like a grocery store where I won't divulge, but if you haven't, but like there's specific stores and industries which have to work during this, and they don't have the best labor protection. I wonder how those people are talking about their use of labor now, because I've heard of a lot of people going attempting to do strikes and work slow down, so that's
Hmm.
positive.
No, no, it's a step, and I think it's no. I don't know if it's because of just the excitement of the time or media sensationalism. I don't even know, just because of the outlets that I consume, for my news. I don't know if this idea that so much of the country are having this conversation is as big as it is. It could just be we're in our bubble, and that's what I'm kind of worried about. Because, like I said, I am kind of more and more, and I mean, I've been preaching this message for quite some time, as far as having an umbrella, national umbrella union, things like the National Labor Union. There's actually a federation called the National Labor Union, which I'll get into in the history, as well as the was it Federation? Let me get the exact wording here. The AFL, the one that Samuel Gompers formed.
I've heard of AFL,
Yeah, yeah, the Federation of
American Federation,
uh,
right?
yeah,
American
American
Federation of
Federation of
Labor, I would think.
of Trades and Union Labor. Trades and Labor Union. Sorry, American Federation of Trades and Labor Union. I'm so sorry. I have to get that up. It's a mouthful.
I have IATSE, which I don't remember what it stands for specifically, but it usually deals with the entertainment unions.
Well, what I'm getting at here, and kind of to touch on what you were talking about, and just looking over the history, I think it's the biggest problem of all. Now, once again, the AFL and the also defunct NWU, excuse me, NWU, excuse me, NLU, National Labor Union. They both their goals were both aligned with what I want to do here. Like, the conversation I'm having now, we've had over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. My my biggest criticism right now, and the one thing that I think is keeping the working class from truly gaining their power, is and we'll have to get into this Joe Biden thing, but is the fact that it's great we do have all these unions, right? But throughout history, what I'm seeing through, and I'm just in the early stages here. I'm not even in the 19th century yet. So many working class labor unions are splintered. One of the one of the one of the tasks that the AFL, I guess, one of the tasks that, or one of the goals that they task, or I want to say goal, one of the actions I'll say that they tasked themselves with were to essentially force mergers with labor unions. Say we had two people, in the same city or whatever. Let's say textile and railroad union workers, right? If that makes any sense. The job of the AFL, one of their tasks or self-proclaimed tasks were to bring those two unions together, right, under one umbrella. We're way too splintered, and this is why nobody's gaining any traction. I mean, you look at how long the People's Party has been around, and we've gained no traction. A lot of people have the right idea, and I don't know if it's really difficult to organize on a national level, or if it's which I did
It
see.
is.
Well, look at this. One of the things I did see in sort of my early research here is there were factions just because people wanted to kind of have the glory. They kind of, somebody wanted to be the leader of that group, of that union. There's actually splintering between unions because of that, fracturing.
I could see that. And like what union puts their name on top, who holds everyone has a ton of ideas and everyone wants their ideas implemented.
And that's the thing, though. I mean, now, AFL Gompers in particular has some issues which I think were self-defeating. And I think overall, one, he definitely tied the hands of the movement because they didn't value diversity very much back in the day. I don't know if anybody knows that or not.
Yeah, that's very common.
But yeah, I mean, women weren't supported unless their cause actively benefited the AFL's cause, So go ahead.
How much, if like your textiles railroad, for example, I wonder how much of that, like how many women were working textiles and how many men potentially, or how many women work in labor railroads, that causes an imbalance as well.
True. No, and this is true. And once again, like, I mean, same as today, you have so many disenfranchised and just neglected groups out there. And I'll stick a pin in that. But yeah, dude, just we're all too splintered. We're all too splintered, and that's the problem. Like I said, that the Samuel Gompers movement, I think he just him as a person kind of sabotaged that. Once again, like I said, lack of diversity. He actively opposed any foreign workers. He even did some things that actively opposed any progressive any progress for women in the labor field.
There's a bit of that we're dealing with in our union right now, which is very similar. And
in 2020,
I heard some talk. Oh yeah, and I heard some in our union who mentioned something that sounded exclusivity and talking about these other people in there, so we shouldn't do that. It's like, I worked hard. Why should everyone else get these benefits? I'm like, because adding more people to our cause gives us more power. It's just so as simple as that.
Yeah,
and not always as simple. Like, again, like textiles and rail working, I'd be like, that might be a bit of a stretch, but there should be another connection from textiles and another connection from rail working that you can probably start linking all these different chains. Eventually, they would get to each other, but like
Yes.
that seems like a giant chain link that tries to thread.
And I wonder if maybe that's been the one hindrance to this, because like I said, I mean we've had the AFL, the American Federation of Trades and Laborers Union, as well as the National Labor Union. I mean they all had the same sort of idea. They wanted to form an umbrella union that all these other unions basically come together as a conglomerate. And I mean, this is what I'm saying we need to do today. But my message here, and we'll get into this too, which I think is a good segue into this whole our conversation for tonight with Bernie endorsing Biden and that train wreck. I don't know how we're gonna overcome that hurdle, but we need to solidify under one national movement. Like I
But
said,
like
go ahead.
people, like one of the big problems in this country that people in labor, because like when we say labor, that's not necessarily left or right. There's people who are right wingers in labor, and there's people who are left wingers in labor, and there's people who don't associate with either. So
True,
moderates
true.
of sense, right? Uh, but one thing that everyone's really skeptical of is consolidation of power.
What
Whether
the
it be,
private industry's been doing it for the past 40 years or more.
but the people consolidation of power are always afraid, like, oh, if labor gets to, like, if you power into one, like, union or labor group, then whoever sits on top of that's going to be just like every other corporate CEO or every other corporate boss. Now, that's a potential concern, but here's the thing you can do within a labor organization that you can't do with a CEO of like Applebee's or McDonald's or Google is that the CEO. In most labor organizing, it's as democratic as we possibly have right now, where like there are chairs, there's often talks about like what job structures are, and then you get to decide periodically who's also in charge of these things. That may not be the case of every union or
Mhm.
labor organizing, but as far as I understand, I've never heard anything that operates differently.
Yeah, I mean, fundamentally, I wouldn't know how to change the operation of it. Matter of fact, my idea, and I probably receive a little criticism for it. And I mean, honestly, I think my idea is a little moderate because I think the conversation now with the whole revolution and whatnot is sort of. I think there's this mentality that we need to reinvent the wheel. Do you get what I'm saying?
I mean, we invented a wheel, but like we don't even have wheels in place that
No,
a
no, no,
lot of
no.
us had even 40 years ago.
No, but in the grand scheme of things, we do, and this is why I say that my idea is sort of my idea is moderate, and I hate to frame it that way, but it is. So the my idea is we do the same thing. All these unions come together as this big old conglomerate, right? But we use the systems that are in place. Unfortunately, we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We're not going to completely just turn the economic system, do a complete 180 just like that. That's going to take some time. We see how things go here. It's going to be a long game. So, I mean, we use the systems that are in place. If we, the working class, and when I'm talking about workers, I'm talking about basically anybody who is not making like $100,000 a year, you know?
Well, the basic way to put it, since a lot of people don't even understand what capitalists are, is the fact that like if your money doesn't make money, then you're not a capitalist. You're probably a worker. An income and a salary, you're a worker.
Yeah, which makes up the majority of this country. So once again, this is all inclusive. Like, there's not too many people that would not benefit from the idea of this. I mean, because that means every well, and I'll say able-bodied because obviously we'd have to have legislation to cover our disabled and what have you. But that's a different topic entirely. But if you are able to go in and contribute and be a productive member of society and work, you should have certain protections. Doesn't matter if you're
I
the
would even
janitor or
well the
hmm?
moderate because I would even say like if you're a member of the society, and I'll go further. Eventually, if you're a member of the human race, you should have certain protections,
Well, see,
regardless if you're able to contribute to it or not.
and this is where I have to catch myself a lot too when I'm talking about this, because I started off a lot saying kind of American working class citizen, uh, but when you realize how many non-citizens are essential to our economy,
And always have been.
yeah, and always have been. I mean, if it wasn't for them, just good luck getting an orange,
I
or
don't
that
think
orange will be
slaves were
five.
considered
Huh?
citizens. Slaves were not considered citizens.
No, they're not. And even
Yeah, because we
now,
could
even now,
couldn't vote.
generations, even now, generations later, they still don't want us to be. you know.
That's why they're so quickly and reticent to throw us in prison to take away what rights, what little rights we have.
Oh my God, we can definitely get into the rock and the hard place conversation, man. Just and we'll come back to this, but just example for anyone who may be listening here. One, all right, put on your tinfoil hats, everyone. Right.
Right?
So, slavery, free labor, oppression, the powerful using that technology against those who are not as technologically advanced. That is the foundation of this country. And you see this shift in the government towards corporate interests, right? Starting in the 70s, we start seeing the kind of lack of support of the labor of the unions, and we see all this predatory legislation that's been passed for the past throughout the past 40 years. Each time, each year, each decade, degrading our quality of life, but it's also we're getting paid less and less and less, and we know now. I mean, there's statistics to prove it that our production is up, right? I would imagine unless we have the person on the right side of history become president during this pandemic, right? I mean, just so look at the deterioration of the quality of jobs and your income since the 2008 crash. All of a sudden, we have this gig economy, right? It's crappy work. It's crappy work, crappy pay. So what do you have to do? You end up having to go work for like Walmart or somebody, right? I feel with the legislation that has been passed throughout the past 40 years and may continue to pass, they're trying to get us back down to slavery, man. I mean the
Not
minimum
slavery, then
the
definitely some sort
the
of
the,
like
the
indentured servitude
yeah,
or
indentured
serfdom.
servitude. That'd probably be a good way of putting it because I don't think you could ever again get away with never giving anybody any monetary income, right? That's just not gonna look good in the world view or for the world's lens. But I feel, man, they're steadily just trying to take us back to that. When they say make America great again, they want to pay you pennies and have all your time.
This is also a factor of like the one reason why this country, America, was formed was to get away from a rigid hierarchy, which was a monarchy. Uh, and the problem with a rigid hierarchy is that there's no what like uh, people, corporatists, and economic folks always say is like, oh, social mobility upward financially. And it's like, yeah, you couldn't do that. You could never be a royal. You could never be the king or queen. But
Mm-hmm.
like the promise of this country is that like, oh, if you work really hard, you can be super successful too. And with that comes the a new kind of which is the capitalist class. They have all the power. They make all the rules, and they're the ones who like if God they determine if we have work or not, and if we get hired or not, and like how much of that, like how much our labor is worth, et cetera, and they get set prices, and they get to go to cocktails with all their friends, and like and they own the media, which tells us that we have to keep working and play by their
Mm.
rules, or else like everything blows up. And they will more than several occasions have blown things up themselves, and then we all suffer. And unfortunately, poor people and often women and people of color suffer the most.
Mm-hmm. Hey, America, I hate to tell you, but you're starting to sound like your mom or your
I
dad, I
mean, like
guess, the patriarchy.
that's
I don't know.
yeah, that's all it is. Just simply like the people, the powerful, rich and powerful, and again, like monarchs were wealthy people too. A poor monarch, they usually a monarch always had more wealth and power than the people who were their subjects. It's
Mm-hmm.
just how the hierarchy worked. So same thing. We just monarchs.
No, I hear that. My thing is that just the sort of. Mm, I mean, for us is clear as day. Like I said, once again with all the different legislation passed, but I mean, you see the income getting smaller and smaller, right? In comparison to productivity, I
Up
wouldn't
and
even
up.
say we're stagnant anymore, man. I would say we're
It,
making
it we
less.
we work harder than our parents worked
Oh, that's for
for
sure.
sure. Yeah.
But yeah,
But then dumb people look at, well, like, look how much money you're making. But I'm like, yeah, but compared to cost of living, cost of education, cost of food, our money
mm-hmm,
doesn't go as far. So yes, more actual like zeros and dollars might be in my bank account compared to what my parents were making 40 years ago. That might be true, but my what our parents could pay to purchase a house and purchase food was a lot lower too. So it like their than our money goes now, and
oh
that's
yeah,
just
yeah.
basic economics.
Everybody's talked to their parents or grandparents, and they've heard that story about how far $5 went. You know.
Yeah, like a full meal.
Oh, shoot. I remember my mom telling me how far like 60 cents would get her. And we're talking about.
It's like what maybe the 70s, right?
Yeah, because she was born in 54, so a little before that.
Okay, so
Uh,
60s, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So their childhood. And she's talking about what things she would get for 5 cents that we're paying
I can even look at
almost two
just
bucks for now, you know?
even just in my lifetime. I remember like in the 80s and early 90s, gas was only like a buck or two.
Oh, no, I remember that too. I vividly remember my mom complaining about 99 cents a gallon. And no, I did this one experiment too. So back in high school, like I think it was senior year, I just paid attention to the cost of soda, and I paid attention to this for all 4 years of high school, and I noticed on average about every year the cost of 20-ounce bottle of Coke, every year went up 10 cents. I'm like, what? Like it consistently went up 10 cents, 13 one
How
year,
much
I
is
think.
how much is a can of Coke now? Because I think I remember a bottle of Coke when I was in high school was probably $1,
A,
like 99 cents.
a bottle of Coke now, on average, you're probably going to be a 20 ounce. You're probably going to be spending about $2 now
Yeah, that
on
sounds about
average.
right. Like I remember when I was working at Target, I could get like the Ultimate Jack combo from Jack in a Box under $5. It was like 4.99.
Oh yeah.
That was like 20 years ago. Like I can't think of a combo you can get for like for $5. It's like every combo now, even going to McDonald's or wherever, you're talking about like almost $10.
Yeah, yeah, and even like there's some places that have those little like $5 meal deals, but I mean it's still.
But like that was the ultimate Jack combo. That was like one of their bigger combos, not like one of those like, oh yeah, if you scrimp and save and get like the
No, no, I
tiny burger
remember
with
that
small
thing.
fries.
I remember that thing. I partook of it a lot. Yeah, it was
But
like
like
four
that,
bucks.
yeah, but yeah, and that's true, and that's what I'm saying as far as like yes, we are making more dollars, but our dollars don't go as far simply because inflation's gone up so much. But
Right.
of course, who does that benefit? Benefits wealthy people. Like we're literally putting more money back into their pocket.
Yeah, yeah. There's less to circulate down here. uh, that's crazy, dude. Yeah, man. No, yeah. God dang. Yeah, I remember seeing that. I remember seeing that. That 20 ounce bottle go from $1.10 to $1.50.
And
Yeah.
it's all the same poison. It's not like the recipe cola got significantly better. Ideally, in an economy that made sense and that was like equitable or fair, which I know you're not supposed to use the business sense, but you know what? Fuck you. Is that if the workers were literally working these products, selling their burgers, and then also got raises to accommodate the fact that like, hey, our burger sales are going up, people are buying our product. Then those same workers would, increase their standard of living, also participate in the economy, so they would also buy more burgers, and then like everything makes sense. But
Mm-hmm.
like the thing I've learned about wealthy people for the past, I don't know, few dozen decades is that like they're stupid, so they don't want to do anything new. Like think about it like
Dude,
this:
yeah, I was just having this conversation, but go ahead.
the people who now run companies, like you think about the Hilton heiresses and the like several people, like oh well, Trump is a perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
All his wealth, and he inherited businesses, so he's like I'm a hotel man because I do hotels. Like you didn't create the hotel industry, you didn't even create your hotel necessarily. It's just your dad had property, and then you just put your name on it.
Yeah.
So it's like they don't want to invent anything. They don't want to take any risks because taking money. So if anything, they just like spend their money on garbage stuff, and that's why it ultimately usually fails. They just throw their money at it because they don't know anything. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're ingenious might be a way, but inventive, you might come up with a grand scheme, like some plan, something that's like a necessity that no one's ever thought.
Oh, yeah.
Wealthy, when
Well,
you're rich, you're comfortable.
oh, yeah. Well, dude, you want to talk about capitalism slowing down the technological advancements? Yeah, how many of you out there knew that the electric car, we had that in the 70s, and government
Yeah,
and
definitely.
regulation shut that down, and you didn't see an electric car till what, 2008? I think when the Nissan Leaf came out.
The
And
first.
yeah, I want to say,
There might
yeah.
have been one before then, but yeah, it was fairly recent.
Yeah, I think the Volt was out, but it's something like that. But it was
Yeah.
yeah, you didn't see electric cars. If you did, like you kind of laughed at that guy, or maybe you're in
And
Silicon
and they're
Valley. I don't know.
yeah, like think about these people control the media, they control the market, and they helps control the market as well. They can easily make like driving an electric vehicle was like not quote unquote manly, was not quote unquote cool. There was like, oh, those things probably blow up anyway, and it's like, oh, look how slow they go, and so like everything that feeds into the psychology of the American identity.
Oh
It's just like,
wow,
well, you don't want to drive that thing because it just
is
want something fast and loud.
is it is? Do you think that's why they come in all these god awful body shapes, like toasters and like roller skates and stuff? Like, what the heck are with these designs?
Well, parts because also they're done by like nerdy engineers, so they don't care about making muscle cars necessarily.
Well, because
But that,
go ahead.
but like, why does it have to be a muscle car in the first place? But advertising made it so muscle cars are cool and sleek. But like, what are these things? They're just metal boxes for transportation.
Mm-hmm.
Engineers are things like it just needs to get point A to point B. I don't understand all this like slick marketing thing, but that's where marketing helps, and advertising and design also helps.
True.
Drive the cool looking thing, not the metal toaster. But the metal toaster saves lives and is like more economical and it's going to make you wealthier in the end because you're
Mm-hmm.
not like wasting all this money in gas and corporation oil bullshit.
Yeah. I
Don't
mean,
be cool.
look,
Be
look,
cool. Don't be lame.
no, I hear you, man. Look at look at Robert Reich though. I think he still drives around in a Prius. That poor car is still the butt of too many jokes, even in
I mean,
2020.
Yeah, if you look at a lot of like quote unquote successful people, Bill Gates doesn't have like he doesn't have a fucking whip. I mean, he might, but like that's not usually what you see him associated in. I know from personal experience, I've seen what Bruce Timm drives, and he only
Hmm.
upgraded his car like a year or two ago. Before, like the first time I saw his car in the lot, he was driving looked like the car he probably bought when Batman the animated series like blew up in like the 1992, 1993, because it was like a Sonata from
Yeah,
back then. So
nice,
I'm like, oh, that's the car you bought when Batman made money.
nice.
It's not like he wasn't coming in like some Rolls Royce or some sports car. It's just like, okay, that's the car. He's like, oh, cash, let me buy this car.
Nice. Well, yeah, not to give praises to millionaires and billionaires out there.
So those are like the two examples I can think of.
Oh
Who
yeah,
just
yeah.
like
No,
they're just like they're point A to point B.
no. I was gonna say just on a personal level. I mean, all the millionaires that, and I've met a handful in my life. I've even worked for a couple. But yeah, those guys they go to work in t-shirt and jeans and some freaking Adidas, you know. Uh, but you know,
Too, because it's like
they're
I
the
might as well
little.
be comfortable,
Hmm?
and flashy. You know who the flashy types is, and I like learned this from Evan. It's all like uh realtors, like people who do it, housing and Wall Street people, because part of their job is how they look. I like watch American Psycho, and you see exactly how that world operates.
Oh yeah, yeah, dude. Just looking at these reality shows, because there's plenty of those out there. Yeah, it's. I want to say I don't want to say that necessarily that because yeah, they part of it is that they have to market themselves.
Mm-hmm. And like this is a culture that's been propagated for like longer than any of us has been
Hmm.
around, and like if you're going to be the eccentric who's going to try to change that, you're going to lose that battle
No,
unless you're like super genius.
okay, yeah. No, sorry. I was trying to formulate the right words here. But kind of going back to the realtor Wall Street guy. Yeah, but those guys typically seem to be the ones who don't actually. They're not good for it, right? Like they have to they have to put across that image because
Right.
they don't have any. They don't actually have the money. They might have some numbers somewhere digitally or on paper, but like they're not good for it.
For many of them, yes, but I figure they do have the money. It's just because that's kind of the culture of their business. For example, like if there's some hedge fund like guru coming down and came to talk to you in like sweats and like which sweats with ketchup stains and like uh I don't know, just like bottom barrel jeans and like Adidas, a lot of people wouldn't take him seriously. Unfortunately, it
Huh.
doesn't matter like what's going on top of his brain or if that person's even good at their job or not. They just wouldn't be taken seriously.
I was gonna say either that or they think you created Valve.
Right. And like in my entertainment, gaming is very similar too. You could still potentially take that person a little seriously.
Hmm.
For in my industry, your skill matters more than like how flashy you are. Because there's a lot of flashy people in my industry, but like if they ain't got the skills, it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, no. Tech's all about walking the walk and talking the talk.
And because that's the cultures we've also created, so it's okay to for me to come to work in t-shirts and jeans.
Hmm.
I'm like it's actually weirder if you come to work in a three-piece suit. Like that's when you can tell someone who doesn't know anything about the entertainment or like art industry because they come to work or even they do an interview with a full piece suit like that. You're like, what are you doing?
Oh, even the interviews,
Who
huh?
are you? Yeah, like an interview, you'd probably just wear something like nice but casual,
Yeah.
like maybe a button shirt and I even slacks seems like it's too far. Just wear some nice jeans that aren't like torn up.
Hmm.
Yeah, you can wear like shoes. Who cares? It wouldn't really matter that much. I mean, again, nothing torn up, but like, casual.
Dang, some lax standards there.
Yeah, because like if you're coming with a tie and like a dress jacket and a dress shirt and like cologne with like cuffs and like wingtip shoes, you're just like you're way too overdressed.
Hmm. Okay.
Don't like coming to an interview. It's just it would just show a lack of like you don't know, and also and vice versa. That's how like the stock market will work. If I went to work with in wearing what I normally serious for this job, you're not dressed for this job. It's
Mm-hmm.
the culture. That's culture more than anything.
Okay. Oh, damn. Maybe I've seen too many rags to riches story, but there seems to be this sort of fake it till you make it. I'll say aspect of that culture too.
Definitely.
You know.
Yeah, that's why you have to have the suit before you get the job
And
in that situation.
and I kind of say this because, like, on a bigger scale, right? When it comes down to these psychopaths and narcissists that we're talking about here, these billionaires and millionaires, the the ones on the wrong side of history. When you get into these conversations about like equity and like liquid assets and things like that, well, once again, like I said, they're not good for it, you know. And especially if you have things like tied up in like some offshore accounts, like good luck getting that and using that. So
I literally a couple of maybe last week or maybe a couple of weeks ago, I don't know time, but like I heard people complaining about how what's his face Zuckerberg gave like a couple of $1 million to help, or maybe like $1 billion to help with the pandemic.
hmm.
People rightfully like you can give more, and
uh,
then other people defending his giving, just saying like, "Hey, he gave a lot of money. It's not like he has all that in cash." And
that
like
was
that's
like,
exactly what you were saying. It's just like, yeah, it's not they're worth it.
yeah, exactly. Like it didn't cost him nothing, and it's yeah. It wasn't big, and he's gonna get that back anyway.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what his savings looks like, but I bet you it wasn't to zero.
It's just true. Yeah, he's not that benevolent. He didn't give away the whole fortune.
Because like here's another thing that we could definitely spend a whole other one discussing. Rich people get so much stuff for free.
Oh, we do need to talk about that. That and the socialism of the elite. And it's funny, man. Because, oh my God. So, this is the greatest con game in the history of, I don't know, maybe the world. I don't know. But you have, okay, so corporations now, right, basically hold all the power, right? They're sort of the puppet masters running, controlling the strings of our government. The same people, and I say people with quotes, and I'm talking about corporations here, so some big ass quotes. These people, these corporations are what essentially? What is a corporation? What would you define? How would you define that?
It's a, I would say it's like it's a business entity that's created with a bunch of workers with a CEO or management at the top, maintaining its interest.
Okay. So a business entity, but a group of people, right? Not a single person, right?
Correct.
Okay. All these.
Sometimes even like a bunch of businesses. Obviously, like Disney's gigantic.
Yep. Yep. Which is essentially what? That's what I'm getting at here. Um,
A
it's
construct,
construct or
a legal fiction.
well, I was gonna say a union of people. A corporation is a union of people who get together to achieve one cause, profit.
Sure.
And those same unions that have successfully overtaken our government have been for decades telling you that you can't unionize. How funny is that?
Right.
You cannot unionize, and these are the reasons why it's bad. Well, Mr. AT&T guy, it worked for y'all, Mr. AT&T CEO. But you're telling me it's bad for us because of what? It limits my bargaining power and what?
Again,
Corporations are
they want
unions.
they're the new monarchies. They want to maintain their power. If they're not monarchs, they're definitely like nobles and lords. We almost pretty much give them that title already.
Fuck that. Um, I'm just, I mean, just look at the parallel though. I mean, guys, corporations are nothing but unions of people who have come together. These same unions of people who have come together tell you that you cannot come together. You cannot unionize. You cannot, they don't want you on the same level as them. I'm just saying, pay attention to that. And you see how much power that these corporations have over our government. Imagine if everybody in this country, working class, came together. And
And
how,
a critical difference between a corporate union versus a workers union is the fact that, like, with a corporate union, like we mentioned earlier, you can't vote for the CEO of Disney.
Mm-hmm.
You can, but in the worker union, you can definitely participate and work for, voting for, and you yourself can be the leader of a labor union.
No, no,
Like I can't walk into Disney and say, "Hey, I want to run this joint," and I
mm-hmm.
got a bunch of people who will vote for me to say I can run this joint. It doesn't. It never happens that way, unless
Mm-hmm.
you're sitting on a shareholder, sitting on the board.
True, but that's what I'm talking about. At the very top level, I mean, yeah, you're an employee where you are. I mean, I'm sure you're part of a union, writers union or animators union or
Correct.
something. However, I mean, when it comes to it, at the very top of these corporations, it's a union. It's not a single person. There's not one single person out there that is just killing it. Google isn't a single person single-handedly creating all this product and selling it. It takes people coming together to achieve that, right?
Yeah, it's a collective. It's a corporation.
It's
Yeah,
a collective. Why can't
they
we do the same thing?
cooperate together.
Why can't we do the same thing? And we conglomerate. We come together as a conglomerate,
Indeed,
and
that's the big question.
the million-dollar question: like, what's so hard about this?
It's funny because, like, corporations, of course, the word derivative of the word cooperate,
Mm-hmm.
and I had this kind of epiphany maybe like right before Trump's election or right after, is the fact our country is so, like, no one ever talks about cooperation. Everyone talks about
No,
competition, especially in
exactly.
business. It's always competition, 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 competition. What is competition? It's usually like me versus you, and we struggle to find out who's best and who stands on top
Yeah, who's
of
more
the.
valuable when it comes down to it?
In one way or another, yes, but you have to prove that some way. If we prove that intelligence, we prove that through physical might, or we prove that by who has more money,
Mm-hmm.
or like materials.
False
But
achievements.
yes, exactly, and it's arbitrary. It could be a lot of things, but
Mm-hmm.
like cooperation, it doesn't matter what you have or what I have. We cooperate.
Yes.
We're achieving a similar goal. That's all cooperation. None of that's in competition. Competition, you do not help each other.
Mm-hmm.
You may form alliances to beat something else or beat someone else, but it's not, the point is not to work together.
No,
And the
exactly,
personal,
exactly. Yes.
yeah. And if
It's
I had any personal project, it would be to start to draw down and eventually eliminate the notion of competition in
mm-hmm.
society
Mm-hmm.
and stress cooperation within a human society.
Yes, yes. That's why I think it's such a tragic comedy that once again I'm just gonna reiterate this, and this is for anybody who's listening. Like really grasp this. Corporations who are now deemed people. Who do you have to thank for that? That's Clinton, HRC, Citizens
Uh,
United, right?
he That for sure, but that's Mitt Romney put it on the map,
Romney. Okay.
and of course with the Bush appointed judges who voted for that Citizens United. I think at the end of his Bush Jr.'s administration,
Okay. Okay.
Obama didn't do shit against it.
No, he did, and we need to just go off on Obama on one session because that guy. I'm sorry, excuse my language, but you want to talk about a house nigger? If you've seen Django, that's who Obama was. He did absolutely nothing for us, and he let Wall Street run amok with that crash, and it's a shame.
And a lot of that was decisions that were made before his administration. But even still, I recently watched Capitalism: A Love Story,
No, no.
and
Oh, that's a great movie. My thing is, what did Obama? So I'll give you that.
like
So
what I was gonna say is that he was already president elect and like on his way when a lot of those decisions were made, and he was consulted. He could have gotten office and then like prepared to overturn or at least counteract a lot of
that's what I'm
those. He
saying.
didn't do
Something.
that, but also he was consulted on those things like bailing out the was it Wall Street and
See what I'm talking
I think
about?
GM too. Yeah.
See what that's what I'm talking about. House nigger. He He will stab you out there in the fields, man.
I remember that time clearly because I was all in for Obama in 2008.
I was
Uh,
too.
and I remember like when here's my first warning sign when he won a campaign his speech after he won against McCain. His speech was he talked about working with his Republican opponents, and that was my first like no. 8 years of Bush, and it was terrible. I'm like, I don't want to work with these people, and I know I just talking about cooperation and
Mm-hmm.
competition. I, but like I was like, I don't want to work with these people because I consider them to be monstrous.
Well, they
I
are.
want to put them in the I want to put them in the ground. Specifically, I want to put their ideas in the ground, and I don't want to work with trash people who are looking to like do monstrous things to other people.
Mm-hmm.
But then my second warning sign, and this one I was like really concerned with, was all the people he put on his I can't think of the term right now, but
His
his
cabinet.
financial regulators.
Oh, gotcha.
Well, like part of his cabinet, but like he got in like several people from the Bush administration. This was like right after the crash,
Mm-hmm.
so all of those should have been just like kicked out and thrown out into the street. But then he put in some people from the Bush administration. Put a ton of people from Goldman Sachs in there, and I was just like, why would you do that?
You know, what was sort of a red flag for me with Obama was when I learned that he came from like Citibank, and right then and there, I kind of knew like, yeah, he's not any different.
And you're right. Like I wasn't paying enough attention to that because I didn't find out until after he was elected that Goldman Sachs was one of his number one contributors. And
Yeah.
then it made sense. Like, oh, okay. And then you still get the whole because you believe it. You was like, well, even though he put those people in charge, he's still gonna like moderate and mitigate like the harm they can do because he's a smart person, he's compassionate, so he's not gonna just let them run amok. And like that's my naivete.
We all
That's
thought
where I was
that.
being a fool. Yeah,
We all thought that because, and that's the thing, that's the thing that
he's
sucks.
playing three-dimensional chess. We just don't understand his brilliance.
Well, the thing is, I mean, a lot of his campaign. So yeah, a lot of his campaign was I say that was definitely theater, man. That was theater at its finest.
He's good at it. He's very good at it. I mean, look at what he just pulled.
We 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 got a dark skin. We got a different actor for the same play.
I always have to remind people Obama's half white. I'm not blaming that on anything beyond just the fact that he is half white, but mainly it's the fact that like, oh man, he's our
I'm gonna
first
bite my
black
tongue
president.
on
It's
that
like,
one.
yes, that's true, but he's also half white.
And I'm gonna bite my tongue on that one.
Yeah,
I'm sure it has a lot to do with it.
I'm sure that's a little to do with it,
Somewhat.
but as far as yeah, because like it only bothers me for the fact that like people who overreacted to the Obama administration, as in like he was a fucking Black Panther. Like
This is the thing. Go ahead. I'll let you.
I'm like he was raised by his white side of his family. I know his father that well, and even still, he's very like he was very traveled, which is a good thing because
Mm-hmm.
his I guess his stepdad was Indonesian or something.
Okay.
So I'm like I'm glad he had that world experience, and I'm glad that he was worldly that way. And then also like there's no way he would have been elected if Michelle was white.
Mm-hmm.
Because like him marrying a black woman or a black American woman help that
Mm-hmm.
we could identify
Yeah,
in a specific way.
that right there was the play, and this is what I'm talking about when I said it was theater. Um, oh my god, freaking Obama, man, it's such a disappointment, dude. Uh,
I mean, it was
we so his,
2000. It
a
was
lot.
2010 when I lost it on him. I was just
I
like, oh,
think.
fucking bullshit.
No, yeah. The fact that we didn't get out of those wars when he promised.
All the war, Gitmo near. It's not the close Guantanamo Bay.
No, but I was gonna say that, and I think a big part of one his campaign was that we did see some darker complected skin out there. Excuse me, out there, right? And I think, once again, very naively, black and brown folks, we saw this guy and figured that because his skin color's like mine, he can relate to us. And like you explained, no, he can't relate to the guy who grew up in Compton. He's not the black guy who grew up in Detroit. Well, I'm not gonna say Detroit, but he's just not that guy.
Or just
He doesn't.
or just anyway, think about it. Like his parents. I don't know his mother's side of the family that well compared to how far back they go in this country, but like he's not a descendant of slavery.
So he's had that opportunity from the get go, basically.
And that's what like him with Michelle kind of gives him that credit.
Ah,
He's not a descendant of slavery, but she would be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not like I know her family tree that well, but yeah, I imagine she's probably
she looks as black as they come. So
for this country for sure.
Yeah,
but
well, as far as like features, so yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah, and that's an understanding. Like I remember when they made a big deal because Michelle used to have like her hair more natural, and then like when Obama started to run, she had to straighten it, had to straighten it, quote unquote. Yeah. And that pissed me off. But even back then, I was like, the concession, white people are fucking losing their shit because people kept trying to touch her hair.
Well, I mean, there's still high schoolers who can't cross the podium, across the stage if they have dreadlocks. So,
fully true, yeah. And like it also bothered me because then when Michelle straightened her hair, she looked like Condoleezza Rice. I was just
don't you?
But it was like part of those concessions. Yeah, it was part of those concessions, and even Obama's like cool, like mellow nature. It's like okay, you can't go like too hard on these people because it's going to freak people. I also thought he like that's the thing. He is talented and he's a very smooth political operator, but his core is not what we needed for this country. And this is why I think specifically he was a disappointment to us within people in our generation because we were radical and we didn't get it. But our parents were happy with Obama.
Well,
I remember.
You gotta remember though, our parents saw they saw in real time the lynchings and beatings and shit like that. So that was a big and unfortunately, like I said, it was theater. It was theater for that generation. We got a black body in the White House. That was oh my god. They might as well see Jesus.
And that's why they're still satisfied with the job Obama did, and eventually how we got Biden. But like the implication for art. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I keep sighing, but yeah.
But the implication of what we got with Obama is just it wasn't enough, and like that's the greatest tragedy of his administration. He had so much goodwill across the world, not even just in this country. Like he's smart, he's attractive, he's like very charismatic. He's like had all like checks all the right boxes. Like I remember even when he was running in 2008 against Hillary Clinton, they were still posing the question: "Is like, can a black man become president?" Back then, I'm like, of course he can. Of course she can. Of course anyone can. Like as long as like people vote for him. It's not like for the stigma for so long in this country, like only certain people, straight white men, were the only acceptable candidates for president, and it was like that final combo breaker to kind of like dissuade. That's why I did to have Hillary after the fact. It's like that's not enough. It's not enough, and that's why Hillary lost.
True. And so I'm glad you spoke on that because something that really comes to mind with Biden, and I don't know, but it just, I guess, okay, so I'll say nostalgia, and I don't say necessarily, excuse me, I'm getting away from my mic, can you hear me? I'm saying nostalgia, and I don't mean nostalgia as in like, it brings me fond memories and a fuzzy feeling in my stomach.
It's comfortable.
Yeah, I'll say comfortable, but not to me. If to me, it's familiar, right? So yes, we came from Obama, right? And we saw the backlash from that. That's what the whole Black Lives Matter movement came from because of persecution. I still think there was backlash from having Obama in office.
I actually have a nuanced take on the quote unquote Obama black backlash. I don't think there was an actual backlash. I think what happened was he didn't deliver enough.
Well, I just from the get-go and throughout his whole campaign, even now, I see racist bumper stickers about Obama and not being, not my president, and other
Yeah,
racist things about him.
yeah,
And,
but
and this
we
is what
have
I'm
that for
speaking
Bush
of.
right now. I'm
For, huh?
Trump right now.
No, no, but it's for different reasons. It's for Trump's for different reasons, right? Obama was because there's a nigger in the White House. This should not be like, and so I get it towards the end of his term. Yes, I'm with you there. The disappointment,
Like
but
I
there's a lot of
what I
people.
what I want to kind of clarify.
Mhm.
Black Lives Matter happened because there's definitely systemic issues that Obama wasn't addressing that thankfully left and activist movements felt encouraged and
No, but
to
my point
participate in.
is, my point is, and I'm still pissed. He never once got on national TV and even addressed this that I can remember. Maybe I missed it. But that,
Barely,
and this isn't
barely.
to harp on Black Lives Matter. I'm I once again, I just feel like kind of the stuff that happened towards the end of his term was just a lot of backlash for
But
how
but
dare you?
but but the point I want to kind of
Hmm.
we can have a Black Lives Matter talking about police brutality as long as like those white people and often some of them racist and deplorables, whatever, fuck, is that if they were also served materially, like having like economic security, not dying from like an opioid crisis,
Hmm.
housing stability, and all that other good stuff that everybody needs, that would tamper down a lot less on "he's not my president." Like they would get material gains, and then they could, thankfully, hopefully, show some solidarity or just ignore, Black Lives Matter when black folks are claiming about rightfully being against police abuse. Because instead, like now, what the way that the backlash happened is that white people, these white Trump supporters
Hmm.
didn't feel like they were being served at all by the Obama administration because he didn't serve them, but he also didn't serve black folk either.
No,
But
exactly.
when they see black thing, they think, and I constantly saw this on Twitter and everywhere else, is that like, well, he's helping Black Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter is happening because of Obama and blah blah blah. It's like Obama had nothing to do with any of that, and he
Yeah,
didn't
no, he
help it
didn't.
either.
No,
So they
but that's
see
my
like,
biggest criticism is that he did not.
like
I mean,
me
as a
too,
black man, as the black leader of the fucking country.
the half white leader.
Well, you get it, but still, visually, that guy, he wouldn't make it through
You saw how they
apartheid.
blew up when he mentioned Trayvon Martin looking like his son, potentially looking like his son. They just lost their shit.
Well,
But here's the thing: if he said that and also, served the issue, the economic black folk and white folk,
mhm.
it would that they wouldn't have cared. At least most people wouldn't care. Yeah, some people, some Fox News folk would have still lost their minds over that, but most people have been like, uh, the trains are running, infrastructure is good, I got a job, and I got a point my money's going further. Because that's what they want from Trump.
Mhm.
They don't care about Trump's racist bullshit. They hear it. They just want their material gains.
Mhm.
So the same thing. Obama should have just given people their material gains, and they would have ignored all the other race stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, he ran off a
At least
platform
some
of
people would have.
change
Not
and
all of them,
nothing
obviously,
changed.
but some people would have.
Mhm. No, but I'm kind of going back to my original point. So earlier, we were kind of talking about how you said capitalists don't like to change, basically, right? They don't like to take any risks. Then we kind of got into
Yeah,
the whole like capitalism holding back technological advancements. But yeah, I mean, if you look at the definition of a conservative, it's like they holding on to tradition is a key feature, right, of being
there's
a
so many
conservative.
people because I've had this argument someone online recently. It's the socially liberal, economically conservative. I'm like, you're just a conservative.
Yeah, you're just a conservative. I'm like, what? Like everybody's just trying to put labels on things. No.
Basically, they just don't want to be painted with all the other quote unquote bad guy
I'm
conservatives.
sorry, that's what it comes with. I mean, they did it. Do something to change it then.
I mean,
Please.
your economic policy also probably affects the social realities of other people because it's like, well, I don't want to give poor people money. Well, you're still poor people disproportionately are people of color in this country, so
Mm-hmm.
sorry.
Oh, true, true. But well, what I'm getting at here is, yeah, so kind of a. I'm at a loss for word here, but one of the key qualities of being conservative is sort of that holding on to tradition, right? And really, what Trump's campaign, his 2016 campaign, it really kind of opened my eyes to was this sort of fixation on, and not necessarily the rose-colored fixation on the past, the whole "Make America Great Again." When I see Biden, right? I sort of what comes to me in my head is all these images of, like you said, the white president.
In a way, I've heard people put online is he's the blue MAGA.
The blue MAGA. Well, that's the thing. I don't feel that he's extreme. He's not any more extreme than anybody else we've gotten before him, right? Matter of fact, I believe Biden's going to be another Obama administration, basically.
Yeah, if he wins, and I'm not hopeful that he would, he could.
Yeah, if he wins, and I think it's safe to say, I mean, so Trump definitely breaks that mold, right?
Because people understandably, the point of an election is change.
Mm-hmm.
Trump was the change candidate in 2016. He was not the status quo candidate.
True, but I'm kind of going back to this here, like where I think, and even with all the talking points on our independent media sources, like TYT and Jimmy Dore, et cetera, the big guys, the quasi mainstream guys that we watch. There's seems to be there's a lot of fixation, a lot of conversation about the past and looking back on the past, and not much about moving forward, right? So this is going to kind of segue into the whole, once again, the subject of Sanders endorsing Biden, because Biden's kind of talking about this stuff. But just one thing that I've noticed in Biden's campaign through the media coverage and whatnot, it really sort of triggers once again this nostalgia within me. And once again, I'm a black 35-year-old. Growing up through the 90s, all you saw was, the white gray haired or soon to be gray haired man who was your president. And like I said,
He looks he quote unquote looks presidential.
yes. And this is what I'm getting at. All the images and things that I'm seeing. And this is why I'll say the boomers are that the older generation is such a problem for us, right? So on the right side, on the progressive side, and the not so progressive side, you got the right side who wants to make America great again. They want the house with the picket fence and the dog and the car and the yard and the tree, but they also, they want that back, but they also don't want you to have the rights that you have, that we acquired through the civil rights movement. On the left side, we were looking. So I feel like we do a lot of. I think this is where the nostalgia kind of comes in, but we do a lot of looking back at more past administrations and kind of don't want to break that mold, Like how many Democratic presidential candidates or presidents have you seen that kind of just really stuck out aside from Obama and Trump?
In the same way like Biden sticks out,
Does
just
he
being
stick
like
out? I feel like
But like you
he's.
say,
I
sorry, within this mold,
yeah, yeah.
like a Kennedy.
Yeah, yeah, right. Like, so I see Biden, and what comes to mind is Kennedy. What comes to mind is, and I'm not comparing him to this, but I'm just talking about through what I'm seeing in this whole our kind of fixation with the past, and nostalgia. I see that. I see Kennedy. I see Carter. I see Bush Senior. I see Herbert Walker Bush. I see Bill Clinton. Right. And then we had Obama, so black guy breaks the mold. Then we have Trump. Just he's not presidential in the
I
slightest.
mean, this like game has always been a thing that's existed within our body politics for like I would say since Kennedy.
So you
Probably
get what
like this.
I'm dropping.
I mean, you compared it to like Martin O'Malley in 2016. He was definitely the most look of a quote unquote president. John Kerry and John Edwards before him in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2008, besides Obama and Clinton. But even this go around, you had like Beto O'Rourke, Mayor Pete. Uh, I'm thinking like non-ethnic, just white dudes who are suave and can talk,
Mm-hmm.
fairly suave and can talk. And yeah, like that's kind of been like when you draw a cartoon president, that's like they look like Biden, they look like Kennedy, they look like John Edwards when he ran.
Mm-hmm.
Martin O'Malley. They're usually not women. I mean, there are female uh, uh, fictional presidents, and there have been like black fictional presidents as well. But like, just there's an identity of a presidency, and like I say, it goes
Mm-hmm.
Clinton. I'm sorry to Kennedy. If you look at before then, it was like you got Eisenhower. Yeah, he's not a
True.
model,
Yeah. I mean,
but
the whole
like
TV age kind of changed things.
because it's the famous Kennedy versus Nixon debate. Like
Mm-hmm.
people who listened to the radio play thought on
Nixon
it.
won.
But people who watched it thought Kennedy won, and it was purely on a superficial, like, well, Nixon looks sweaty and weird, but like
Yeah.
Kennedy
Yeah.
is like very more polished. And I mean, it's like, oh, I'm attracted to him, and I can listen to his message.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Nixon's a fucking prick, so maybe that was a better play at that time. Just like, hey, look at him, he's charming, and listen to what he has to say.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's play in politics, and that the right has even adopted. Now.
Mm. I don't know, dude. It's a. I don't know. It may be just I'm reaching and something that I'm picking up on that maybe I shouldn't be. Uh, hold on, I'm breaking up a lot right now. Here, let me do this. Let me try to break up the call. Let me end the call and start it back up here. All right. How's it now?
So far, so good.
Okay, cool. Um, shoot, I keep losing my train of thought when that stuff happens.
You were talking about Biden looking a certain way, and people having nostalgia.
Yeah. No, I was saying that I don't know if I'm just reaching or just seeing something that, noticing something that I probably shouldn't be noticing. But no, like if it does feel to me that sort of the image. See, 'cause Biden doesn't really have much to offer. It seems, other than some platitudes. It seems like he's saying what he has to say to get elected right now, obviously. But it seems like with Biden, there seems to be this sort of campaign of a push towards normalcy, and like I said, nostalgia. And
Definitely.
it just seems like they're pushing him as this, remember back in the day, remember Clinton, right?
But
Like,
his whole claim to fame, and I was Obama's VP, and that's it. And
and
that's
he's
probably all
Obama's
people really
VP.
know about him.
But there seems to be this push, or I mean, am I just reading this wrong? Does it seem to be sort of this push towards normalcy with him?
Definitely.
Um, do, Do you think we're just kind of opposed to
No,
any more
I think
outliers right
I
now?
think that's absolutely obvious because if you look at like polling for Biden, specifically older folks and boomers, they say like they just want to return to normacy. They don't want a revolution. So Bernie Sanders was offering a political. A lot of people don't know what that means, and that scares them.
Mm-hmm.
And like also, Bernie Sanders is Jewish, so that might also scare some folks too. Bernie
Another
Sanders
outlier.
isn't the idea, the visual idea of a president. He's like hunched over. He's like very loud. He says the same things over and over again. He's got glasses.
And
Like
mind you,
Biden's teeth falling out because he's trying to portray an image that is not the reality. But
mm-hmm,
Bernie Sanders is giving you the straight deal. He's like, look, this is who I am. It shouldn't matter what I look like. It should matter like what I want to do for the American people.
mm-hmm.
He like Bernie Sanders is actually trying to destroy that image that for the last 40 years about like electability,
Oh,
about
I
like
think he did
what
with his campaign alone. What?
right, right. He's like I don't care. Like Bernie Sanders also doesn't wear that like stupid little that all everybody wears after 9/11. He has a little pin, but it's not a flag pin. It's his pin that
Mm-hmm.
everyone has.
Yeah, the
But
little
like
star.
he's like I'm not just trying to like I'm not coming in there with a smile and like powdered face and just gonna tell you what you want to hear like so, like a salesman. Like Biden looks like a salesman. Even back in the day, he felt like a salesman.
Mm-hmm.
What politicians were and did, and but that's also why I think a lot of them failed because depending on the time, the place, and who you're trying to sell it to, you might be not buying that shit. Like no one bought John Kerry, no one bought fucking John Edwards. Obama felt legit.
He felt, yeah. But then again, man,
Definitely is legit. He's a sociopath and he lies about everything, but he's been selling his shit for fucking 50 years.
that brown skin, though, man. Jeez, that
For,
was so
for
tempting.
Obama.
Yes, that was so tempting.
Yeah. And this is what like didn't get Hillary Clinton. She's not a good salesman.
No, she's not.
She's just like it's and a lot of that is like definitely sexism. A lot of that's just like not her personality. She is not Bill Clinton was a salesman. Hillary Clinton's like, no, she's like an accomplished woman. She's like serious at her job and she's trying to do the political game. I'm not saying she's an overt monster, but you know what? She has some problem things in her. I'll see that. And she's really and when you try to challenge her in that, she just kind of scoffs and kind of like said, fuck you.
Yeah, she doesn't
Some
need to
people
be
like
leading
that.
the country
Yeah, some
with.
people like that about her, but in this car,
Apparently, not enough because Trump outdid the fuck yous.
because Trump is a salesman. Trump is like
Oh,
he's like, hey, this car is amazing. It's gonna be a great car. We're gonna get there all the way. And like the car is clearly like about to explode, but he's such a confidence man, and that's what a con man is.
yeah.
That,
Trump was no man's
that car.
sky, man.
Yeah, Hillary
Like,
Clinton's not a confidence man. She is not a confidence person. So she's trying to sell you a car that's like here's the thing. It's like Trump's selling a fuck car that's gonna murder you, but he's selling it like a sports car.
true.
Hillary Clinton's not trying to sell you the sports car. She's trying to sell you a decent economy car. But you know what? It's not the most decent economy car. It's got some problems. It's not going to kill you immediately, but it's not going to get you where you want to go. And it's definitely not getting you there in style. And some
Mm-hmm.
people chose the sports car.
Mm-hmm.
Use this analogy right after the 2016 election, comparison to Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. It's the fact that like Bernie Sanders was like you're all hanging out. It's late at night.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's got the wild ideas like, hey, let's go out for some pizza and ice cream. And like there's four people in there and they're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. One of the four. And they go, I don't know. Going out for pizza and ice cream might be hard. There may not be too many places open. Let's just stay here and eat peas. That's Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton's the let's stay here and eat peas friend. Like who that kills the complete buzz. Because here's the thing.
That's
We might
very
have gone out
accurate.
yeah. We might have gone out for pizza and ice cream, and maybe we would not have gotten pizza and ice cream. Maybe we've had to compromise for something else. But at least we're all enthusiastic for pizza and ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
She was offering peas. It's not like peas are bad. It's not like we can't have peas. There's peas in the freezer right now. We could easily just put them in the microwave. But like no one's excited for that.
Yeah, they're actually nutritious. Yeah,
But
she
no one's
kind
excited for that. We want pizza and ice cream. But Trump comes in and he's like, let's go get the best pizza and ice cream we've ever had.
let's go get
And
the
he
most
takes us to
beautiful
like a
chocolate
fucking
cake.
alleyway where we get our liver taken out. He sold us on pizza and ice cream. And then we were excited for that. Some people were.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah. Ah.
That's it. It's just you have to be a con man, a salesman.
Oh my god. Ah.
That was Hillary Clinton's problem. It's like
Yeah, he left us in the
she's the
alley, all
most
right. God dang.
yeah, it's like she's the most accomplished woman to ever run for office. She's the most accomplished to ever run for office. It
She
didn't
doesn't
matter when
seem
she's like, let's eat
personable.
peas.
She
Yeah,
might be the
let's
most personable person in the world. I don't know that, but on screen, definitely not.
I'm sure she's a fine person to know, but she's like, let's go eat peas when we're like, no. We want pizza and ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
We have pizza and ice cream? She's like, no, you can't have pizza and ice cream. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go with the lunatic. Let's go find some.
Yeah.
Even some of us might have said that lunatic gonna go out. I'll stay here and eat peas. but some people are gonna take them up on that. That's just human
Mm-hmm.
nature.
Yeah, there's some homebodies there. They're not gonna want to go out. So yeah. Hmm.
Hillary Clinton could go out for pizza and ice cream with you guys. She could have said that. She didn't. Recognizing that's the fervor of the pizza and ice cream, but no, she decided to like, no, I'm just gonna stay home and eat peas.
Mm-hmm.
And you're idiots for not staying home and eating peas. God, so frustrating.
It's okay. You should be. We all should be. Yeah, dude. Yeah, they're just, man. It's there's an argument that I've been hearing quite often recently, kind of about the center moving further and further to the right.
Obviously, it's I've noticed.
No, I would have to disagree, dude. I'd say these guys, especially the Democrats, they just completely left that whole sector, that segment, man. Like it's not moving to the right. They abandoned it. They left it. The center's still where it is, you know. Our
I mean, they
difference.
left and they're just right wingers now.
Yeah, basically. I mean, is it?
Okay, I can
Can
back
you
that.
see any difference now?
Because even Obama admitted it towards the end of his my policies are to the right of Ronald Reagan.
Ugh.
Alone is a death knell for the Democratic Party. It's like you're using the king of the Republican Party and saying, and that was his signal that he is a moderate and a compromiser. And I'm like, that's why we lost.
I lost the end part of that. I'm sorry.
Though he had an interview, you can look it up very easily. Just say Obama to the right of Reagan. His policies were to the right of Reagan,
Okay.
and they were in some cases. Like if you look back to Reagan's administration, he was a horrible fucking monster and a lot of other things. But then there's some things Obama was to the right of him of, like offering amnesty.
Mm-hmm. Shit, I'm still I'm gonna claim Reagan's administration for being when the oligarchy got his foothold. So
Totally.
yeah, that's wow. Well, yeah,
More than it's like we had a fighting chance, and then really like stuck a hatchet in everyone's foreheads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean,
There's fuck.
Go ahead.
Have you seen? Is it non-compete? Somebody. God, I have to look it up. Who this YouTuber? But he basically they did a video about slasher movies from the '80s and the Reagan era.
Oh, it's a Renegade Cut.
It's
I love that
fascinating.
guy. I love that guy.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, that was a good video. I need to rewatch it.
Oh yeah, and any of you, it has great entertainment value and great educational value. Check out Renegade Cut on YouTube. It's fantastic. But yeah, no, yeah, that was such a great connection there.
That was one even I hadn't noticed, even though I lived through that era, and I understand the parallel.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw that video, I was like, "Oh, you're right," and it's obvious because like
Get in
movies
line.
and entertainment are reflecting a sign of the times. I just never put together that like even horror movies were doing that at the time.
Mm-hmm. Get in line, or if you don't follow the rules, you die.
Monsters coming to kill you. You're
Yep.
doing that drugs, you're having that sex,
Yep.
monsters coming to kill you. Even it would have been more. I actually now I kind of want to do a motif of that kind of like 80s horror films where it's like labor organizers and union workers being murdered by some fucking
Oh, we can definitely do that, man. Shoot.
really just like uh sex, but it's also like same-sex relationships, labor organizers, civil rights workers, just people like advocating for their rights and like for like
Oh yeah, that'd be
across the board,
perfect.
and just the monster.
That'd be perfect.
If you didn't get it before, now it's on the nose.
Right? Yeah, there's no subtlety there, folks. Oh man. So let's get into this. Let's get into this video real quick. So you didn't watch any of it yet?
So this is totally new to me.
Okay. Yeah, I started listening. I watched about half of it, and I decided I just wanted to kind of get your live reactions to this too, because once again, I don't, I don't believe any that Biden's gonna do anything he says he's gonna do, because like every other president before him, he says what he needs to say to get elected. But he is saying some things that prior administrations have not said, or candidates have not said. And I'm gonna say it's a great act. The proof will be in the pudding if he does get elected by some miracle. But I mean, honestly, we know that if Biden gets elected, he's probably not going to end. The presidency is that term's probably not going to end with him being the president. I'll put it that way.
My ear is really like tuned to like political speak now. So if he wiggle room right now, I'll catch it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go ahead and listen to this. But he is bringing up a lot of points that I'm aligned behind. So I'm definitely not saying here I'm going to go out and support Joe Biden. I'm very skeptical about the things he's saying, but I think it's very important. And I think it's good that he went on national TV and these words came out of his mouth. So the conversation could get started somewhere. Okay, just let me know if you want me to pause for any commentary, okay? All right, here we go.
Former presidential candidate Senator Bernie Sanders has just endorsed Joe Biden for the Democratic nomination. Happened moments ago as Sanders joined his former campaign rival on Biden's live stream.
My friend, Senator Bernie Sanders. Bernie, welcome.
Joe, thank you very much for your remarks, and thank you for welcoming me to your live stream here. As you've indicated, we are living in an unbelievably unprecedented moment. You and I were chatting a few months ago. Not in a million years would we have believed that we would be talking to each other in our respective homes.
Okay, so I'm going to pause here. So sorry, so soon. But yeah, Bernie's actually right. We are at a pivotal moment. Anybody out there who may be listening, if you say you're bored, I'm going to slap you. Because this is probably one of the most exciting times that we've seen in this country since, 9/11.
Right, exciting doesn't all good.
Yeah. I didn't say good. I just said exciting.
That's fair.
But yeah, this is
fair.
a very historical point in this country in which we will more than likely switch over to the oligarchy has already been established, but we're looking into moving into a full-on fascist authoritarian government here. Would you agree? Or am I getting too off base here?
Well, yeah, because like it's not even just Trump is fascist, but also of what this pandemic means for our society. I've heard several people talk about that. For them to take away our rights, we rarely gain them. We rarely gain them.
Oh yeah, dude. I honestly, and we'll get back to the video here. But I honestly, I feel like so the gig economy came out of the 2008 crash. I think we're gonna see that to the 10th degree after this. If things continue to go the way they have been going,
If people don't rise up and strike back.
Yes, and understand that that building cannot get built unless you show up to work that day. So you're at power, guys, not the guy who's giving you the check. They're asking the government or a bank for it anyway. We could do the same thing. Okay, so yeah, historical time for sure, and that's why it's important that you pay attention and let's get active. So I'm gonna get back to the video here. Sorry.
That we could not, do rallies, that we could not get out of the house. We would not have believed that we'd be looking not only at a pandemic, which, as you indicated, has taken over 20,000 lives in our country, 500,000 people infected, but has cost us 16 million jobs. And that's probably a conservative number. The real number is probably higher than that. So we are in a terrible moment, an unprecedented moment. And I know we share the understanding that we've got to go forward right now and out of this in an unprecedented way to address the terrible pain that so many of our fellow Americans are feeling. So today I am asking all Americans, I'm asking every Democrat, I'm asking every independent.
Okay, sorry. I'm going to pause again. I love, the video we're actually looking at here is from CNN. What's that called? The little footer at the bottom of the screen, the ticker, or yeah, I guess the ticker tape, right?
Yeah, the ticker.
Yeah, it shows Biden's join our campaign text united to 30330. I just want to bring that up. Unity, getting back to unity. Okay.
I'm asking a lot of Republicans to come together in this campaign to support your candidacy, which I endorse, to make certain that we defeat somebody who I believe, and I'm speaking just for myself now, is the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country. A president, and you made this point, who downplayed this pandemic, who ignored the advice that some of his people were giving him, who has not used the Defense Production Act early on so that we could produce the masks, the gowns, the gloves, the ventilators that our medical personnel desperately need, who today, because I understand that is threatening to fire Dr. Fauci, who has been an unbelievable, who has been day after day the voice of science to the American people, trying to explain how we go forward in this crisis. And he's threatening to fire him. So to me, for all of those reasons and so many more, a president who apparently has never read the Constitution of the United States, who believes he's above the law, a president who lies all of the time, a president who has at least shown me that he is a racist and a sexist and a homophobe and a xenophobe and a religious.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bernie's going off on Trump, obviously, and he's not wrong. But I just want to point out that, like, the reason is, like, I want to see if anyone's ever done, like, who is the president where the most American lives have been lost under their watch. We all think it was a big catastrophic event. It was one very quickly, but then you can all the just American lives that were lost with his foreign wars, etc. Has Trump outpaced that now, even within just one term, or no? It's interesting. But the other thing is, like, all these fault of Trump's is just because he's a narcissistic, fascistic medical asshole. But also, this is capitalism. Capitalism kills. He is the thing that I find most disgusting about Trump is the fact that he is the continuation of the Reagan legacy and this capitalistic bent that this country is put under, where he gives all corporations, all these business owners,
Dude,
I
feel
destroy
like
the environment and destroy labor rights and destroy civil rights.
Mm-hmm. No, I honestly do feel Reagan was his. That's the guy he looked up to. and obviously his model for the presidency, because I've been watching this guy every step of the way, and between his actions and even some of the things he's repeating, I think we had this conversation before. I'm waiting for him to go on national TV once we have a vaccine and we could get out in the streets and start striking. I'm waiting for him to go on TV just like Reagan did, overreach his boundaries into private industry, and tell workers that their jobs are forfeit if they don't show up for work. I would bet my next 5 paychecks on it.
I can easily see that happening under his administration.
Yeah, I mean, he was looking so hard to be a wartime president, and well, this is his war. COVID is his war, or rather, COVID is his distraction or opportunity to take advantage of us. That's really what that means.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Did you have anything else?
That was it.
Okay. All right. Remember, guys, unity.
Religious bigot. I mean, for all of those reasons or more, we've got to make Trump a one-term president.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to pause again, too. And, one of the first things my ears caught was when Bernie said that he was going to go to the Republicans and advocate on behalf of Biden. What?
When did he say that? I didn't even hear that part.
Oh, that was within the first couple of... that was within, the first minute of the broadcast.
I completely missed that. Sorry.
Did you want to go back, or we can take a look at that again later?
It's fine. That's. That's.
Yeah. Don't you think
silly.
That's weird?
Especially since Biden's the one who's selling himself as the one who's capable of working with Republicans. Why was Bernie Sanders need to do that? Obviously Bernie's track record is anytime someone mentions about Biden being able to work with Republicans, he works with Republicans on their agenda. Bernie Sanders gets Republicans to work on his agenda.
Like I said, I'm in theater.
Right, Joe Biden worked with Republicans on bus segregation. Joe Biden worked with Anita Hill. It's not over to their side, just hey, I'm going to vote with you. Now, the one thing that everyone likes to cite on the fact that his not voting in that gun manufacturer bill. But if you look at what his actual stance on that was, it's probably the most ethical stance you can have on that issue, which was to say gun manufacturer. He's apologized for that since, but honestly, it's one of the ones I felt you shouldn't apologize for that, Bernie. He felt like blaming a gun manufacturer for doing what it's intended to do is not the fucking point.
Huh.
It was not misused. It's if a car blows up, yeah, you blame the manufacturer. But it's a car and it drives you to one, and you don't get sued for that.
No, exactly. You're buying a machine that was designed specifically to kill. Nothing else. Not to maim, not to neutralize, to kill.
It's it's come as advertised.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So people getting on his case for that, I'm you're just big at that point. Not a fan of guns. I don't own one. I don't want to own one. I don't proliferate it so much within our society. That being the case, that's still the most ethical vote. It's not even one I necessarily would have made. I would have gone off emotion in my own predilection and voted against it. But you know what? His argument for that is perfectly rational.
It is, yeah. You can't get mad at the manufacturer who's creating machines of death if that machine works. Does what it's intended to do. I like that. Wow. Yeah, I missed that at some point. All right. Okay, let's go back.
And we need you in the White House. So I will do all that I can to see that happens, Joe. And I know that there is an enormous response.
Oh, I just gotta say this, dude. It seems like bootlicking. If you're watching the video, you can see how red Bernie's face is the whole time. It's really it's pitiful watching him do this. It really is. Because I feel in my heart of hearts he does not want to concede. He does not want to do this. This almost feels like a punishment to me. Because like
I mean,
the whole time Biden's sitting there with a shit-eating smirk on his face, and
since
Sanders
this
is like
election,
groveling. I'm even going to get the other party to help you. What?
since this election started, I think one of the problems, maybe failures in this campaign, is the fact that he's always been capitulating to the fact that he will serve the Democratic Party, that he wants to be Trump, and that he's not trying to be a spoiler or anything else, because that's all they accused him of in 2016.
Unity.
And in addition to being a sexist.
Yeah,
unity. So that's what this is. This is like him. That's why none of this is anything new, and none of this is surprising, because he's been singing this song for at least like a year.
True, but you know what this feels like? Like watching this. When you're well, I don't know about you, but I was picked on a lot in school because I was a runt, right? But it looks like that kid who the teacher saw hit the bully, but didn't witness the bully hit the kid, and now Sanders has to go in front of the class and apologize to the bully. Like that's what this feels like to me.
Man, that's a good one. Yeah.
Oh my god, like.
But we all know the real story, the full story. So it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, true.
That's a good analogy. You have to remember that.
Yeah, it's sad to watch. I hate to watch this, but
a lot of people do. Like a lot of the anger that like a lot of the Never Biden folks feel is the fact that they wanted Bernie Sanders to be their champion, and it's hard to see your champion come out and fucking like wallow in this like this when you know that Biden's the bully. Well, I mean, one of the advantages that like Trump had in 2016, and a lot of people called this out, is the fact that like Trump, even when he was in the lead, but even before he got the nomination, he was threatening to fucking blow up the party. He was like, "I'm gonna run third party. I'm gonna say it's rigged." Blah blah blah.
Oh no, he
like
trashed the Republicans party the whole time.
Yeah, and I kind of want if like Ted Cruz, if Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio got the nomination, Trump would have ran as a spoiler. He still would have been slagging him off the whole time, throwing up all types of middle fingers. Who knows? Probably.
Yeah, I think so. And once again, like him being that outlier from kind of the traditional image of a president. I don't know if we can stomach that anymore.
Yeah, and I imagine that would have definitely helped them and hurt the Republicans, because like the reason why Rubio and Ted Cruz lost because they were just standing. People were tired of that.
Are you implying Trump would have ran as an independent?
He probably could have, or at least him being a popular contestant who, if we're just saying in some fictional world, fantasy world where he didn't win the nomination, he would have hurt the party by like slagging off honestly, he would not have came out and done this. He would not have been like, "Oh, we got to beat Hillary Clinton, and this is a dangerous time for our country." He would have been like, I would have been the person to beat him. Why would you even vote for Ted Cruz? Lying Ted Cruz. I mean, that's just a stupid play. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Trump is a bully.
He is a freaking bully. Oh man, yeah, this is hard to watch. Yeah, honestly, I think in the state things were in during that campaign season, even if Trump had ran as independent, which he might as well had, because even though he was standing on that stage with those guys, he was constantly throwing jabs at him.
Well, another thing Trump ran as is the fact that he was self-made. He was like, I fund my own campaign, and no one buys me. I bought these guys before. So, yeah, he totally could have pulled a Ross Perot? Yeah, Ross Perot.
Yeah.
If he really wanted it. That's the thing. I don't think he wanted to win at all.
I think he just wanted to prove that he could fucking do it because he's a fucking Trump.
I think he wanted the run to, like, heighten his name. Like, you've heard, I think even Matt Taibbi has covered this for in president. The reason why Trump was running, at least why a lot of people were theorizing, is because his show wasn't doing well. He wanted to boost ratings.
I didn't even know that show was still going, dude.
Yeah, like he wanted to, like towards the end of the campaign in the general election, he actually started to work on something called Trump TV, because they didn't think that he was going to win, but at least now he's got like enough like political clout and enough like people looking at him. He talked to fucking Rupert Murdoch, his best friend, and he was like, "Hey, I want to start my own like political channel." He's just going to be a new Fox News on the web. It was all just for his own personal marketing and aggrandizement. He didn't want to run the country.
The Trump channel.
Really, I mean, of course he took the job, but like that was not his end goal. He wasn't expecting to succeed.
What? Oh man, what does that say about the state of our government right now? We got somebody who's not even taking it seriously.
I
Like,
cut off again, didn't I?
yeah, you can't hear me? All right, here we go. All right. How's
Yeah,
that?
it feels like anytime I rant on something for too long, it cuts me off.
Ooh, they're listening, man. They're listening. It's the NSA.
Right. Maybe it's a thing where like if the primary isn't contributing enough, then it just decides like you're not there. I don't know. It's weird
That would
because
seem
like
weird, 'cause
you're
I
still
play-
recording, but it keeps me there until you reset. All of a sudden you go quiet, and I'm like, what happened?
Oh, yeah, that sucks. Because that doesn't happen much. I play Monster Hunter on here quite a bit. Usually with Discord on. I don't know. It could be because I'm recording. I don't know. I have to figure everything out.
Yeah. Anyway, just to finish the win, it was all just a marketing scheme, and now we're stuck with it.
Media failed us again. Oh man. Okay, so let's get back to the video here. God dang. Hey, and who knew? Well, I guess it worked before, so they knew it would work this time. Just the whole, because this really feels like, once again, an encore performance. This feels like how Herbert Walker Bush got his nomination, right? And sort of the media pushed his narrative that wasn't true and made everybody believe, oh, this is our guy.
Against in the general election with the fucking Dukakis.
Mm-hmm. Well, like, remember Fox News basically called that they called the count before the counts were even done during that election.
You mean W. Bush, not Herbert Walker?
Or sorry, I apologize. I don't know why I said Herbert Walker.
Right. W. That's why
W.
sometimes I just call him Bush Jr.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't believe that worked again.
Worked the first time, so.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, we're watching that in full swing again. All right, let me go ahead and play this again. It's 9 minutes long.
Responsibility on your shoulders right now. And it's imperative that all of us work together to do what has to be done, not only in this moment, but beyond this moment, in the future of this country. And in that regard, I have been very pleased that your staff and my staff have been working together over the last several weeks to coming up with a number of task forces. These are task forces that will look at some of the most important issues facing this country. The economy, how we create an economy that works for all, not just a few. Education, how we create the best educational system in the world for all of our people. How we deal with climate change, which, as you indicated, is an existential threat to the planet.
Pause it.
Yep.
How we deal.
Caught that, right?
So, this task force, this is what sucks about the Democratic Party. We have to negotiate with ourselves. The Republicans never do this shit.
They
The
don't.
Republicans are like, the Republicans are just going to be like, I'm going to the abortion, we're gonna have wars until the cows come home, and just like I'm strong, they're weak, and we're gonna fucking make America like a religious corporate fucking zealot country, and then that's it.
Yeah, and they just do shit, but they do stuff.
Correct. Yeah, but the Democrats and Bernie Sanders are Medicare for all and tuition-free colleges and improve infrastructure and like improved worker rights, and now we have to negotiate with the Democratic Party, not with the Republicans, with the Democrats.
For the very thing
Forces.
they should be fighting for in the first place.
Exactly, because
That's
that's
what I
what
said,
this
man.
task force is. This task force clearly wants certain things, and that this factions, the corporate establishment Democratic Party, doesn't want these things. So now he has to capitulate. It's like, all right, can I get this or can I get that? And they're going to be like, I don't know about like that taxation on Wall Street for your Medicare for all. How about like we only get like instead of everybody on Medicare, how about like we drop it to 60-year-olds? And instead of like tuition free colleges, how about like if your parents make under 50 grand a year, they get like
testing.
$2,000 off. Means test bullshit. The Republicans never do this. Never.
You know what? I have to say disproportionately, and I don't, maybe it's the sources I'm watching, but comparatively, aren't you seeing more of the Democratic side of the drama, and aren't they getting all the TV airtime? Like, you don't ever really see Republicans going through this shit. You don't really see the back and forth in the drama.
Even in the past, even in the 2016 election where there was a primary on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no primary in the Trump is not getting any press or attention. But, like, this is just not, like, the Republicans will fight tooth and nail during the primary, but, like, they all want the same agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Going about it differently. But, like, the problem with the Democratic Party is the quote-unquote the Big Tent. Is that, like, we don't all want the same things, clearly. Mm-hmm. So now we have to argue with the corporatists in our party for, healthcare as a human right. Or we're not even talking about ending the wars anymore.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about social stuff that Democrats are, like, they're supposed to be known for.
They should be, like you said earlier, they should be the party that should already be on board with this.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we have to compromising. It's a fucking joke. It's all a goddamn joke.
No, it is, because
here's
honestly,
how Biden could potentially get my vote. He should, if he adopted every single policy of Bernie Sanders going forward, to him. No, I wouldn't believe it, but I'd listen to it, and maybe even still, I'd have an easier time selling Biden to people.
Oh, we'll continue to listen here. But go ahead.
I'm still listening, but it's just like, even if he says it, I don't believe him because nothing in his is demonstrated that he's on board for that.
Yeah, no. He's at this point. He's saying what he needs to say. He's hanging on the coattails of Bernie Sanders to get where he needs to go. Because you'll hear during this when he actually starts talking, a lot of what he says is a complete 180. Compared to his actions historically.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, no, yeah, mm-hmm. and did you notice there how before we pause there, how Sanders gave Biden credit for the idea of climate change being an existential threat? You heard that, right?
That's crazy.
You heard that. I'm gonna play that. I'm just gonna go back a few seconds just so anyone listening can hear that again. I'm going to go back to 3 minutes and 56 seconds. Well, 3:47. All right, let's see here.
It's some of the most important issues facing this country. The economy, how we create an economy that works for all, not just a few. Education, how we create the best educational system in the world for all of our people. How we deal with climate change, which, as you indicated, is an existential threat to the planet.
What the fuck was that bullshit? Which you indicated? This has been Bernie's message the whole time, and he just handed all that credit to
him and Steyer, I think. Steyer was the other guy.
Yeah. I didn't even know Steyer was running until he dropped out. And I was like, who the fuck was Steyer?
Well, there was that one debate, like the second to last debate he was in, where he just kept looking at the camera, like directly at camera.
I can take the pressure.
You look under or above with the audience, you kind of look around to the people in front of you, not directly at camera.
Yeah, it's first time on stage like that.
I know, but like there are other candidates in this race, just this race alone, who are using the environment as more their issue. I'm not saying like Biden made it his top issue, and I don't. If he ever said it was an existential threat, sure, because he knows that talking point. But like, I'm not. Biden is not the man who's like
No,
serious.
in the context of this conversation here, Bernie, no,
Because
he's giving
Trump
that
would.
credit away. When
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, because I was gonna say like when other than once Bernie started losing momentum and kind of the talking points sort of shifted towards Biden, or excuse me, Bernie endorsing Biden. That's when Biden started picking up a lot more of Bernie's talking points. And yes, he may have said at some point during some debate,
It's
or
an existential threat.
he might have said that, but
Yeah,
Bernie's been
because
saying that for like 40 fucking years.
I think even Obama was saying that at the end of his term. What did he do? I mean, he tried to do like a solar deal and like thanks, and but he still his main go to was like an all
No,
policy.
F him, F that. Tried to do solar deal. Freaking Carter had solar panels on the White House and they pulled them off after him. Just, yeah.
Obama could have put solar panels immediately back.
Oh, yeah, right.
Why
No.
not?
Yes.
Why not? God, it's like he did the bare minimum of just like of a show.
Yeah,
The show that
so
he's serious about the thing. God, you're right. But yeah, like imagine if Trump that again, if Trump gave this concession speech, he's not giving anyone else any credit for a thing that he was like propagating.
oh hell no.
If like let's say Ted Cruz was like gonna work with him to build the wall and he had to do this speech, he'd be like, very good idea that I came up with. He'd
You're
take
right.
ownership of that.
Ted was in the room with me. He was a part of the conversation. But he'll take
He
credit.
only wanted a small wall, but I said a very, very big wall. And guess what? We're gonna do a very, very big wall.
He
You
wanted
never
to
give
pick a
anyone
fence.
credit for anything. And things he didn't come up with, he'd still take the credit.
Oh, he has. He knew this was a pandemic before we knew what a pandemic was.
Right? And while the whole time he was like downplaying it and would acknowledge it and said it was a hoax.
Oh, we're laughing, but I'm crying inside, folks.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that pissed me off. This is so hard to watch, and not for me, but for Bernie, because I'm over
Yeah,
his loss at this point.
That bit's a joke.
Yeah, this is punishment. And anyone who hasn't watched, it's just a CNN video. It's titled "Watch Bernie Sanders Endorse Joe Biden." It's pretty straight to the point.
Because like this video is like sitting there on the side. It's actually very reminiscent of when Bernie Sanders eventually endorsed Hillary Clinton. I think right before the convention, and it was the same thing. Like Bernie Sanders came out and endorsed her, and Hillary Clinton's like standing right behind him.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's why I say it feels like this like ha moment, like Nelson Muntz, like Milhouse hit him back, and the teacher saw, and now Milhouse has to go and apologize.
And in a way, this is what's so disgusting about this. This isn't just the teachers oblivious to like the previous wrong. It's like the teacher's in on it.
Oh yeah.
The teacher knows that like the bully was like abusing this kid but like put on this show to make the kid just like do all like the apologizing.
And actually, I can personally speak on this point, and this is probably one of my first run-ins with racism, and this was third grade elementary school, in which grandma then finally figured out what was happening because, excuse me, I won't say their names on air, but T and M, two younger cousins of ours. They ended up having the same teacher in the same school year, and the same thing happened to them. So in third grade, I had this teacher named Miss Heckstrom, and older white woman in Compton Watts of all places. I guess she got work wherever she could. She ended up taking work at a mostly Black and Latino elementary school. And I was that kid who I got punished for everything because she didn't like the black kids there. So, yeah, if I went and reported any mistreatment to her. She did nothing about it, and worse off, if I was if she witnessed me retaliating, even worse so. Now I gotta pay for that and be humiliated. So yeah, I know how that feels, man.
And I imagine like you confirmed that this is like a common thing because like if you don't know, like that part predominantly Black and Latino, so I mean she just have to be mad at the entire school, right?
No, right. Like I said, this particular teacher, and there's another one too, and I'll give a story on how I got him out that school system at some other point. But yeah, I guess she just ended up getting work where she could, and she ended up that's where she got work, 99th Street Elementary School.
She didn't live in the area, which
I don't know. I was too young to know. I didn't ask. I just know I was held every day after school for detention, and I got in trouble a lot during class for things that I should not have. So yeah, this is a whole school year. This, and I think eventually after T&M's school semester, which is right after ours, once they saw that pattern emerging again, that's when that teacher got. She was no longer employed there. But hey, are you still there, Brian?
I said, yeah, it's interesting.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure I didn't lose you here. But yeah. This is what this feels like. And once again, like I say, it's not for me. I'm over the fact that that Sanders stepped down. I mean, anybody paying attention to 5 minutes of the political climate would know that Bernie Sanders more than likely was not going to be president. But to have it happen this way, it sucks.
Quickly too. I mean, Super Tuesday feels like it was months ago, but it wasn't that long ago. It
wasn't that long ago. Matter of fact, what was the Tuesday after that? 2 weeks later.
Oh, that's when we all had to go in quarantine.
Yeah, but they still push to have people go out and vote. I don't know if that week has a name, but yeah, that Tuesday as well.
It sucks.
Okay, let's go ahead and play.
How we deal with criminal justice, because we don't want to continue having more people in jail than any other country on earth. How we deal with immigration reform, and how we have a healthcare system that is so much better than what we have right now. Now, it's no great secret out there, Joe, that you and I have our differences, and we're not going to paper them over. That's real.
That's what you messed up before. You didn't go over those differences,
Bernie.
Bernie.
Task forces will come together, utilizing the best minds and people in your campaign and in my campaign to work out real solutions to these very, very important problems. So look forward to working with you. And
okay, I'm pausing here. I feel like you were going to go somewhere on the task forces, and we kind of slipped away from that.
I mean, like, all this is a compromise. Like, if this was literally like the general election, Joe Biden is now going to be the president, and they're making this talk, I'd be like, okay, this is what you do when you're running the country. No one's won anything. This is all just like fucking just to make the goddamn try to pull over the Bernie people. This is also just to make the centrists and all the moderates like pat themselves on the back, say like, see, we're trying to work with you.
Yuck. That is important to keep in mind. Biden's not president. This is completely hypothetical. This task force.
And just like I said, if Biden adopt every policy of Bernie Sanders, I'd be skeptical, but at least, and then I'd have an argument to vote and have an argument for Biden court, and he's not Trump. But also, would also prove if he was serious, Bernie Sanders would be on that ticket.
Oh, exactly. He'd be like, Bernie Sanders is my VP. I'm sorry I said I'd pick a woman.
This talk already feels like if you're really going to work with him, then it's like Bernie and it's Biden and Sanders on that ticket. But Biden's already promised to have a woman. They're both old white dudes, so that's not going to fly for all those people who just rally on identity politics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and honestly, like listening to this, there was this sort of inkling of hope that that's where this was going, because the conversation seems like at one point that it's starting to go there, but nope, this is it.
It could also prove that if he put Nina Turner on the ticket. He said he wanted a woman and potentially a woman of color. She's it, and she's like second line to Bernie, so that.
No, that's exactly why they don't want Nina Turner.
But they're not going to do
Turner's
that.
She's going to try to take their power away.
They're not serious. Yeah, they're not serious at all. So
no, they're serious, dude. They are so serious. They're willing to fight against their own party members in order to keep their millions. Thank you for tuning in to another session of the People Class Podcast, the official podcast of the People Class. I hope you found the information shared in today's session enlightening, or at the very least, raise some questions. I extend an invitation to join us for more weekly sessions. And remember, our work does not stop here. Get active, organize, and take control over your destiny as an American working class person. Class dismissed.